You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. You wanted it, you got it. A radio program that helps teach you options trading inside and out, basic to complex. This is Options Bootcamp. Whether you want to learn how to protect your portfolio, generate income, or even become a master of volatility, the Options Bootcamp drill instructors will break it all down for you. Now, let's get you into peak options trading shape. Here are your Options Bootcamp drill instructors.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back. It is Wednesday. Time for another episode of Options Bootcamp. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the network upon which so many of you have been binging these days. Hope you're having a good trading week here in the middle of the summer. Took a little sojourn last week and somehow got struck down with something nasty at the end of it. I've been fighting my way through it all week, managing to do a few shows earlier this week. Had to cancel advisor's option yesterday. Just wasn't feeling up to doing it, but we're back, ready. I think raring to go. Maybe not at a full 100%, but I'll take a good 87 to 92 any day of the week. It beats Dan when he's day drinking, that's for sure. So we should be able to power through the shows today. Of course, if you want even more in your lives, including getting your name in your hat for some fun pro trading crate giveaways, hint, hint, and head on over to theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn about all that good stuff and get your name in the hat for the July pro trading crate. I say July because June is already upon us. And joining us to help determine who that victor is this week, none other than the black-hatted one himself, Mr. Dan Passarelli from Market Taker Mentoring, what the cool kids call to Mr. P, welcome back to the show, sir.
Hey, Mark, it's good to be back. I was reading through the notes. We got a good show in store for everybody today.
I like to think so, but before we get there, sir, we've got a little bit of fun to do here. It is that time. I will just now fire up. There it goes. Fire up the old random number machine. You know how this works by now. We've done it on OBC a few times. So, sir, when you are ready, just tell me to stop, and then you will pick the next winner of the next pro trading crate. Sir, can you handle the responsibility?
I can do it. Ready? Stop.
Look at you. Going straight to the jugular. I like it. Luckily, reflexes like a cat, even when I'm at 87 to 92%. Dan. All right, let's see. Who did you pick here today? That is Eric Nelson. Oh, one of our newer members. Congrats, Eric. I got to see you in the chat one of these days, firing up, playing along in one of the pro Q&As. It's always a good time, but you know what? You're part of the pro. That means you get your name in the hat, and you have won. Congratulations to Eric. And thanks to everyone for playing again this month. Remember, if you're in the pro, you're automatically entered for the July drawing. So maybe Dan will show mercy upon you next month and choose your name. If you didn't win, remember, don't blame me, blame Dan. As we keep on rolling right on into a little bit of the old options drills.
Well, in bunch, time time for our favorite pastime, option drills. We're going to take the strategies learned during the show and teach you how they can be employed to achieve a specific objective. Do you hear me? Yes, sir!
All right, everybody, let's get down to business here on the options drills. And Dan, we've done a lot of things on this whole OBC show over the last decade plus worth of shows. But certain things seem to resonate with the folks. And apparently one of them is this lost terminology rabbit hole that we've fallen down together here on the show. The folks apparently are grokking to it. They've enjoyed it. We've had, 3 episodes on it now? What we thought was going to be a quick 5-minute segment turned into 3 episodes. Well, apparently the folks are not done with them, sir. They have some. I know you have a few of your own still as well, Dan. I could probably cook up a few more if you twist my arm, even at, like I said, 87 to 92% right now. But the folks are coming at us. So, Dan, what do you think? Can you handle a few listener-submitted forgotten terms?
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting, man. Let's do it.
All right, let's see what the folks have up their sleeve. Let's see if they're above 87 to 92% or if they're swinging somewhere in the basement. Let's find out. Let's go out first to Just Ken. He's got a forgotten term submission for us. He says, hey, guys, I heard the term boiler room recently and thought about your forgotten trading terms segments. Where does that one rate on your list? Thanks and love the shows. Boiler room. Okay. For me, that one doesn't have a lot of resonance. I think most of my thought with it has to do with that movie of the same name they came out with about, what was that? Was that 10 years ago now? Well, the best part about that movie was when they were all quoting Wall Street because everybody on the floor knew every line of Wall Street. And that was probably the most realistic depiction I've seen of that in any movie. The rest of it, working in the stock trading, effectively boiler room, that has no wherewithal for me. I never obviously did that in a shady boiler room in Long Island like they do in the film. But I do like that part where they all just gather around the house and they just quote line for line Wall Street. But that said, Dan, what are your thoughts of the term boiler room or the movie of the same name, sir?
That is pretty funny, man. Yeah, I guess they don't talk about that anymore because there really aren't a lot of smiling and dialing brokers anymore. Everybody's trades self-directed in an online account these days. But I actually did in college work for a couple of those.
How did I know? You had the stink of shadiness upon you, sir.
Oh yeah, it was terrible, man. It was terrible. But
what crappy stocks were you forced to foist upon these poor grandmothers?
There's one called Spyglass, this was before
Old
ETFs.
School. Yeah.
Yeah. And the symbol was SPY, if I recall correctly. Pre ETF.
So there's
93 or something like that. 92.
Yeah, these boiler rooms listeners would effectively, pay people to foist these shares that they owned or had some other interest in on people and pay their people sometimes large fees to do so. So that was kind of the attraction for guys like Dan to sell these shares of Spyglass to the unwitting public.
Well, I was not. I was just a dumbass who called and set appointments. I didn't have any license. I wasn't actually selling anything. You
were the initial one. You're like, hey, grandma, can you got time for Jerry from down the hall? I'll connect you.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Where was this?
I was in college, but I went to college in Chicago, and there was a place on. I did it in at least 2 places that I can think of, and they were both in the same building on LaSalle Street. That building with the, I'm sure the place isn't there anymore. So, the building on LaSalle Street that has the 2 angels painted on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was in that building. It was in that building.
I always thought there was Icarus and Daedalus escaping from the labyrinth, but it could be 2 angels too. To each their own. Art is in the eye of the beholder. But yeah, so there you go. Boiler room, a little more resonance than we thought. Again, not really an options trading term, but you don't have to be specific anymore. I think we've gone past that by this point. You know, we've kind of fallen into just the forgotten, and a fun one nonetheless, because it got me to think of that great scene. The rest of the movie, it was all right, I guess. But that scene where they go to the guy's house and they walk into the guy's house and they're like, did he just move in? And like, cause all he has is the giant TV and the couch and like nothing else. Like, no, he's been here 2 years. Or he has nothing but and they all proceed to watch and quote every line from Wall Street. I thought that was hilarious. All right, good one. Who's that, Ken? So you give that a good rating, Dan, then?
Yeah. That's a good one. That is a good one for sure.
All right, you get above 92%, Ken. You're doing better than me right now. All right, let's keep going.
Just Ken.
Just Ken. All right, let's go to this one. We have a lot of handles, Dan, that are food with some sort of emotional state attached to them. Remember we had concerned breakfast? I like that one. This time we have angry hummus. Angry hummus is up next. So you got his hungrous and he's angry. Maybe, I don't know, is that like spicy hummus? I don't know. I kind of like that. I'm intrigued what angry hummus would be. He's got another one. He says, happy 4th to the OBC crew. Well, same to you. I'm guessing you sent this in last week, Dan, while you and I were enjoying some fine hot dogs. Not live last week, of course, but you guys and gals got a show nonetheless because we like you folks. Well, happy 4th back to you, Angry Hummus. He says, I was listening to Squawk Box on CNBC and thought about your forgotten trading terms. Yeah, that was one of your terms, wasn't it, Dan?
Uh-huh.
I haven't heard anyone really say, he's got a couple of them here. I haven't heard anyone really say tick, as in tick up or tick down, scalping, or stockbroker in ages. So I cheerfully submit those for your review. Take care and go slow on the day drinking, Dan. Well, he is a listener then. He knows your ailment. All right. I'm going to start with the last one first. I like that one. I like stockbroker because you're right. When's the last time you called someone a stockbroker? What does so-and-so do? Oh, he's a stockbroker. That is quite the antiquated term. You don't really hear that anymore, Dan. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that is definitely antiquated. That is a great one.
That conjures up, a guy in a suit, maybe a monocle, a bit of a top hat, Mr. Moneybags from Monopoly. Yeah, I can't remember the last time I heard anyone called a stockbroker in the modern parlance. And if they did, man, they're probably antiquated themselves. So I'll give you points for that one. Scalping, Dan, you and I talk about that one, but yeah, maybe we're the oddballs. We're kind of the odd ducks on that. We don't use all the same vernacular as everybody else. So scalping, I don't know. What do you think about that one, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I was just writing a couple days ago and scalping made its way into what I was writing. So yeah, but like you said, I don't know, maybe we are just the oddballs who it sticks with us over time.
Yeah, because you were saying some terms earlier on. I was like, I used that just last week. And then I said something, you're like, I used that yesterday. So sometimes we're the oddballs who keep these terms around well past their expiration date. But scalping, usually it's on this show, it seems like, when we talk about gamma scalping is when that one comes up. So, okay, maybe I'll give you I don't know, maybe a 70, 75 for that one. It's somewhere in that range. And then this one, I don't know, this one's probably the most controversial. Tick, as in tick up or tick down. What do you say to that one, Dan? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
So this one is like last night, or was last night or the night before? The night before, I went to bed like pretty early. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm tired. I'm going to go and read my book. And so I'm laying in bed. I got the door. I have to leave the door cracked because I got these two little runt dogs who like try and get in the room. And if I don't leave it cracked, they start scratching at the door and I got to get up out of bed. So anyway, I'm laying in bed and, I got both my kids living here at the moment. And Sam is still just getting used to how the world works in the house after being out of it for a couple of years. And so I said, oh, hey, Sam, you mind turning the TV down a tick? Like, I don't know. But I mean, I don't know if that's like left over in my brain from the trading floor days or if like a normal person would say that or what.
Yeah, I say tick. I mean, maybe not like that. I just say like, stock ticked up. I say that all the time. Or, the futures are ticking down. I say, so again, maybe we're the oddball use case, but because we're talking about these things kind of for a living. But yeah, I use that all the time. So I don't know. I probably would give that one a more of a maybe a 25%, like a failing grade, let alone Dan and his late night TV usage. That knocks it down to about 18% there. So yeah, I don't know about that one. So I would say you're kind of 50-50. Who was that angry hummus? I like the first one, stockbroker. I haven't really used that in forever. Scalping, kind of 50-50 on that one. And then the last one I would say is probably pretty common. But you know what, Dan? I'll bump him up to a D, a 60%, a passing grade, because his handle is angry hummus, and I like that. So
I'd go at least C+ just for the handle alone.
C+. Wow, Dan bumps you up to like a 79. I was going 60. Dan, wow. Okay, C+, he says. Okay. Well, there you go. Dan's a lighter grader than I. The handle does get you some bonus points, yes. Okay, so there's some wiggle room. Somewhere between a 60 and a 79 is your final grade. Wait for the email, and we'll figure it out. All right, let's keep going. You got another one here, Dan. Can you handle more, or are you tapped out? Are you just can't handle this goodness anymore?
I love this next. Yeah, this next one. I'm good. I'm good.
Right,
Let's do it.
Well, you're reading ahead. All right, here we go then. All right,
I am.
Let's go to this next one. Is from DPD, and DPD just says, "What about SOES and the SOES Bandits?" Yeah, it's funny. We were just talking about this literally yesterday on the network, Dan. So again, we're kind of the oddballs with this. But it was brought up because we had a guy on our new show, the European Market Brief, who is a former SOES bandit, and he readily confessed to it. And as he said that, I said something along the lines of, wow, I haven't heard that term in forever. So maybe that is the exception that proves the rule, Dan, that this is an antiquated one. Again, not a straight options one. I think the options equivalent of this is more of the raise bandits, which we've talked about before, with that Henry is a confessed perpetrator of. But Dan, what are your thoughts about SOES and the SOES band? And explain to the folks what the hell is SOES, sir.
Yeah. So I was trying to think of this term last time. So thanks, DPD. Me having been only on the SIBO, raise bandit is what I brought up. But SOES, Mark, they would use that on some of the East Coast exchanges. They didn't have a raise system; they had a SOES system, and so I think that was options traders too.
I thought it was just equity. Was that they can, a small order execution system is obviously what it stood for. I didn't know they routed options through it as well. I'll have to go check. I know. Obviously, raise is the one we encountered. Yeah, I know it was for equities, obviously, because that was the primary use case. I'll have to go dig. Okay. Were there SOES bandits and options? I've never heard of them. But if that is the case, I'm free to be corrected. So if you were a SOES bandit out there and you perpetrated an options through the SOES, it has to be through the SOES system. Then, by all means, hit us up, let us know. But yeah, it's kind of the equivalent of raise, listeners, which was the small retail order execution system for options on the SIBO, and people would take advantage of it in all sorts of fun ways. SOES was the same thing, primarily for small equity trades. And the same thing, small order execution, they would use it to front run and get up into all sorts of mischief. Did you ever encounter the SOES bandits in any way, shape, or form, Dan?
No, I mean, just raise on SIBO with options. That's it.
Now you got me intrigued to see if they, for day trading, blah. I don't think the SOES system, this was NASDAQ. So
yeah, NASDAQ. I mean, I got to say this quietly in case my daughter's listening, because she'd bust my chops if I say this out loud. But we could look at ChatGPT. My daughter hates when I look at ChatGPT.
I'm gonna have to dig into this to see, because I know all the issues with what's they give me all this stuff with SOES, but I don't think according to the AI the answer is no. I'll have to go check and see, Dan. At the end of the day, you can always rely on the wisdom of machines, right? If we've learned nothing from this show,
that is the one. Yeah, well, maybe it was just equity. I don't know. Yeah, my good friend ChatGPT is saying no for it was strictly stocks. So
there you go.
I might be off.
If you won't listen to me, listen to the random robot that is telling you the same thing. There we go.
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
All right, let's keep going. Let's go to Charlie Weaver. Charlie Weaver says, for the Forgotten Term Show, here's another good one, stock certificates. When's the last time you saw one of those? So that's both a forgotten term, Dan, and a forgotten item. When's the last time you saw a physical stock certificate? That's a collector's item now.
Man, I just sent my clerk running from my home here in Frankfurt to the Board of Trade building.
Sent him with a box of upticks to go pick up your box of stock certificates and then run them back to Frankfurt for you.
Right.
I mean, they do still exist. They're floating around in like safe deposit boxes and stuff. But yeah, when's the last time you actually physically saw one? God. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know if I've ever physically seen one.
I think maybe when I was like a kid and someone gave me like, a couple shares of whatever it was, IBM or something. Here you go. Here's a stock certificate. I'm sure I don't know what happened to those certificates. But yeah, outside of random things like that, yeah, most of my adult trading was done even early on in the early days of electronic trading. I always gravitated towards that. So I never had a lot of physical and certainly you're not getting certificate shares when you're trading down on the floor, right? Well, they roll up a wheelbarrow of all your certificates to you at the end of the day. Here you go. Here's 100,000 certificates for you today. There you go. See you tomorrow. Imagine the carry cost on that, the size of that. So yeah, I heard someone saying not that long ago that they were looking to collect these or something along those lines. Maybe there's like a collector's market for everything now. So maybe even if they don't have any sort of cash value anymore, they're for a collectability standpoint, maybe they're kind of interesting. So yeah, there you go. Our listeners had some good ones, Dan. What do you think?
Yeah. These are so far so good, man. Yeah, I love it.
All right, let's man, we're already kind of coming up against it. We're having fun here. Let's see. You want to do a couple more forgotten terms? I know you have one here that I know you didn't get to last time, sir, that I think was resonating with you. If you want to share it with the folks, have at it, sir.
Yeah. So, and to be fair, I don't do a lot of commodity trading. So I don't know, maybe this is still a thing in the commodities world, but a round turn as far as commissions go. Like I remember back in the day, this is another one of the weird 5-minute odd jobs I had. I got licensed with my Series 3 to be a commodities broker.
Boiler rooms, you're bringing boxes of upticks, you're doing round turns. Dan was all over the place.
Yeah, but I remember it was like $30 a round turn, which means like for somebody to buy the futures and then later sell the futures round turn, it was a total of, it was like $30 or something, which is like crazy.
I always called it round trip, but it's the same thing. Yeah, I would say like, $30 round trip or whatever. But yeah, round turn, I think you're right, is more of a commodities or futures oriented terminology. Yeah. I still say round trip sometimes, but I don't know about, I don't know if I've ever said round turn because I did not have my origins in the cowboy and ranchers pits of the Board of Trade and the CME. So that's not my lexicon, sir. But I'll take that one, round turn. I'll give you that one out there. Let's see. I'll throw one more in, then we should get to some questions of the week and all that kind of fun as well. Let's do. How about this one? This is something I use on the network every now and then, but I think in a lot of common vernacular has kind of gone the way of the dodo, Dan. This is going back to talk about skew a lot. I always refer to, the upside and the downside as the call wing and the put wing. That's how we were trained back in the day. I don't really hear a lot of people saying that anymore, outside of people who are, like former market makers like us, who that's kind of the way they were taught. But outside of that, you don't hear that said very often. I don't know why. It makes a lot of sense. When you look at it intuitively, you could see why it came up that way. It makes intuitive sense. But for whatever reason, you don't really hear that much anymore, Dan. So what do you think? Call wing, put wing, are those terms going the way of the dodo, sir? Or am I just being paranoid?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I was looking through the rest of the ones here and I was like, no, none of these are forgotten terms. And I had that in mind for call wing and put wing too. Like, I don't think about it as a forgotten term, but I probably have not said it or heard anybody say it in like a decade. But like, I don't know, it's still like in my brain as a vernacular thing, like. But yeah, I guess I guess I haven't really heard anybody say in a while, which is, it's kind of weird. I agree with you. That's kind of weird.
I bet you if you did hear someone say it, it was probably me.
Yeah.
As we keep on rolling right on into a little bit of the old mail call.
Mail call. Time to look at questions submitted by our listeners.
All right, everybody, let's get down to business, even more business than we were just doing, because you folks already sent in some great suggestions, obviously. Dan, we had some fun questions of the week going on this week, including yesterday we had a fun flash poll inspired by some of the activity we were seeing. Actually, this was Monday, I believe, on our crypto show. We were talking about IBIT, and we saw, looked like the 55 straddle in IBIT, stock 62 and a quarter right now, listeners. It was a little bit lower when we talked about it on Monday. And we saw the AUG 55 straddle going up for $8.80. And we said, that seems like an interesting, a bit meaty way to go, but an intriguing one perhaps. We said, at that price, Dan, are you a buyer, a seller, or are you just staying the heck away from IBIT? And Dan, looks like 41.7% of our audience wanted to sell that straddle for $8.80. And a third exactly say they're just staying clear of IBIT right now. And 25% wanted to buy it, Dan. What are your thoughts? $8.80 for the AUG, double straddle, and IBIT, sir.
Gosh. Well, this was last week, you said?
This was Monday, a couple days ago.
It was just a couple days ago?
Yes.
IBIT. Isn't it 62.29 right now?
It is.
So, I mean, geez, I mean, it's got to be almost worth that right now.
It's getting close. Yeah.
Yeah. Geez, man, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a weird one. I mean, I guess I'd probably, I don't know. I would just stay away from it, to tell you the truth.
It's a weird one just because it's so meaty. Like, why are you going that way? The stock was around, I think, 61 and change when it went up on Monday. You could easily go for the 60 straddle, get a lot of the same bang for your buck, and not tie up as much money. I mean, obviously, you're going $6 in the money at that point. So you're asking for a meatier straddle for, I don't know what benefit you're getting out of just tying up more capital for this trade. If you think it's going to run, it's going to run. So yeah, our audience wants to sell it though, but you're right. It's kind of, you see at that, we're already at 770 right now. So you're $1.10 away from break even on this straddle. So yeah, I don't know if I'd be rushing to sell it either, but it's a weird one. That's why I think a third of our audience, Dan, said, you know what? Just a little too weird for me. And you know what? Sometimes that's the right choice, Dan. We include that for a reason. We also had a flash poll from Monday from our option block show, going back to our buddy VIX. July 17 puts have been hot, Dan. They've been trading a lot in VIX of late. And we said they traded for 30 cents on Monday. So that price, are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Or are you a seller as part of a vertical? Or are you just staying clear of all things VIX? And 46.2% wanted to buy them. VIX cash ticking into the 15 handle today, Dan. So looks like that was the right do. 15.4% wanted to sell naked, 23.1% wanted to sell them as part of a vertical, and 15.4% said they're out on VIX right now. So, Mr. Dan, I guess our audience wanted to scoop those puts, and I guess they're looking good, even though we got up to 16.5 earlier this morning. So it's been an interesting ride in VIX over the last few days or so. Mr. Dan, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it is a little bit of a weird thing, you know, with where you kind of have to look at the VIX futures. So I would kind of want to pull that up a little bit. July. Oh, gee. Yeah. Well, the July. So those expire in 7 days then?
Yeah, they go out next Wednesday, sir.
Yeah, I mean, the futures are like right there, though. They're 1710 bid at 1715, which is interesting. That's kind of indicating that the market apparently thinks vol is going to be a little bit higher next week.
It's a lot of room for the futures to go in just a week. Yeah, they're not usually see that wide of a chasm with just a week to go. I will say, if you bought the puts, obviously you're still doing all right. Those puts have pretty much doubled. They're trading about 60 cents right now. So buying was still the right do. Yeah, you could get out right now. But you're right. We were talking about that on Vol Views a couple of weeks ago. There's some funk going on now with the cash and the futures. And interesting stuff out there, which again, why you should be listening to Vol Views, listeners. We get into all that fun in a lot more detail. And then Dan, our actual question of the week, which is live right now, Dan, is an interesting one. We're heading into the second half of the year. We said right now, quite simply, which asset class do you think has the most upside as we head into the second half of this year? Kept things very general. We didn't go crazy. We didn't say small caps, or we didn't say, meme stock, anything like that. We just said, hey, equities, gold, or, your metals, or fixed income, or other. And you guys and gals are free to write in your others. I knew some people would say this, and one of our pro members did chime in, Age of Delaquarius. He says he voted for crude oil, WTI, with the most possible upside due to geopolitical risk. We thought about adding energy in there. We ended up going for the more, staid fixed income, but energy was a thought. Then we have other people writing in. Will Lee writing in says he wants to lean into small caps, so that would definitely go into equities, but I could see if you're just hardcore small caps, that's your thing. Mr. Dan, sir, equities, gold, metals, fixed income, or other. Which way are you leaning? And then which way do you think our audience is leaning, sir?
Man, oh gosh, yeah, this is a hard one too. But you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I would probably, yeah, I would probably say gold at this point.
Well, it's had a hell of a run. It's if not the number one, it's usually number 2 or 3 asset in terms of performance for the year. So it's had a good run already, but who am I to second guess the shiny stuff at this point, right? It's had in fact, we're going to have our futures rundown after this show. If I cheat and look ahead right now, Dan, to what's dominating the tape so far year to date, gold is actually all the way down to number 5 now. It's dropped to number 5, Dan. It's only, I put only in air quotes, up a paltry 22.25% for the year. But all the rest is metals as well. Number 4 is palladium, 22.9%. Then soybean oil sneaks in there at number 3, up 31%. Then back to the metals, high-grade copper, number 2, Dan, up 33.1%. And the winner so far for the year, platinum, up 48.5%. So if you were down for a little metals this year, you're having a good start to the year, sir. So I wouldn't fault you, I guess, for saying, hey, gold can do it again in the second half of the year. Why not? Let's see. Where are we hanging out right now in gold? Obviously, we topped out, 35.5, somewhere in that range. We're still a couple 100 handles below that, 33.20 or so. But gold can get the bit in its teeth. All it takes, Dan, is a little bit more geopolitical uncertainty. And
that's kind of interesting about platinum. I mean, that's not a metal that I watch, but Trump said that he was going to slap a 30% tariff on South Africa.
He's tariffing copper, which is why copper is popping so hard. Yeah. Had his best day in
but I mean, on the country of South Africa, like that's their biggest export is platinum. And so I wonder how that would play out on this. I gotta start looking a little bit more into platinum.
Gotta start listening to the other shows on the network, Dan. We'll lead you to all this good stuff. We've been talking about platinum for a while. It's been topping that list now for at least a month or so. It's had a good run of late. Some people have been speculating about a potential squeeze going on in platinum, which if that's happening, it's kind of one of the longer term squeezes we've ever seen. But nonetheless, it could possibly be. So Dan, you went metals, and that is actually number 2 right now with our audience. Our audience, 28.9% going metals and gold. 52.6, Dan, going the old plain vanilla equities. They think there's more room to run in stocks. Hard to blame them. They go up every day pretty much. 13.2% for fixed income, and then 5.3% for other. I already told you we had write-ins for energy. We had write-ins for small caps, other stuff. If you have your own write-ins, hit us up. Let us know. Let's tell you what, Dan, we'll get out of here on one more question, just because we're having so much fun here today. Let's go to another good handle, actually. Root of Evil. The Root of Evil is writing in, Dan. Wow, I like that. All right. He stole my handle, Dan. How did he know? All right. Root of Evil says, what is a good use case for deep in the money options? Well, I have a few ideas, Dan. What is your favorite use case for a deep in the money? I think I even know which way you're going to go.
I mean, probably just when I do call diagonals, the poor man's covered call is
the stock sub kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I was. That's pretty much the use case, I would think, you know. But there are others, but the stock sub / poor man's covered call, fig leaf, whatever you want to call it out there, where you're using the in the money call instead of the stock and then writing a covered call against it. That's the predominant use case. I'm hard pressed, Dan, to think of any other time I'm going out and just loading up on deep in the money options outside of that, unless you really think something's fallen out of bed. You want to get some meaty puts, I suppose, something along those lines. But yeah, that's deep in the money options. If I'm using those 99 times out of 100, it's for stock substitution and then probably to write a covered call against later on as some form of fig leaf / poor man's covered call. So there you go. Root of all evil. You get a handle points as well. All right, Mr. Dan, we made it. We survived another journey. You know, just when we thought we were done with forgotten terms, they dragged us kicking and screaming back in, Mr. Dan, for now, I guess, episode 4. This is our lot in life, to do nothing but discuss forgotten trading terms for the rest of our days, Dan. How does that sit with you?
Back in my day, we used to call it a put wing.
We didn't have no fancy computers.
Oh, jeez.
So if folks are intrigued, they want to check out all things P, where should they go? What should they do?
Make your way on over to markettaker.com. 2 T's in a row. The second T is for toenail today.
I don't know if that's going to have the same resonance on the marketing side as the gift that I gave you known as theta. And you know what, Dan, I lied. We got one more here we're going to get to just because it's fun as we're heading. Right. This comes from Windy City. Good handle. He says, how does Dan feel about the new Pope being from his neck of the woods? Yeah, isn't he's from down about your way somewhere, isn't he, Mr. Dan?
Yeah, practically a neighbor. I think it's great. I think we finally have an opportunity to make it officially a sin to put ketchup on hot dogs.
I will have that fight. I like a good hot dog with some ketchup. Sausage, Italian sausage, bratwurst, I'm with you. But I think people conflate cased meats too often. A hot dog is not the same thing as an Italian sausage. Not all cased meats are created equal, and they can have different toppings. I will fight on that hill. So I guess the new Pope's going to have to excommunicate me because I'll fight that fight. I will be the devil's advocate over there arguing with the Cardinals on that one. I might be intrigued by doing that. I will do that. I will say, you know what? Not all cased meats are created equal. Bam. You're being a cased meatist, Dan. Let's just look at pure raw capitalism. The numbers don't lie. Who sells more effing hot dogs in the country than Costco, right? Uh-huh. What's the number one topping they have there? They have 2 things of ketchup and only 1 thing of mustard and then 1 thing of relish and then a thing of onions. 2 things of ketchup. That means a whole heck of a lot of people are putting ketchup on Costco hot dogs. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Mark, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
You should try it. It's delicious. Now, if you did it on an Italian sausage, I would smack it out of your hand because that is a vile sin against all things that is holy. But that requires mustard. I agree with you. but the flavor profile, Italian sausage, bratwurst, hot dog, very different. Then you get into some other good toppings like some sriracha and stuff. We can get going on this. You know, I could teach you some good toppings for a hot dog, sir. But yeah, I will be down with that. But didn't the city near you? Didn't they just buy his old house? Aren't they going to like turn it into something like a museum or something?
Yeah, I think I heard that. Yeah.
So yeah, the Pope is literally Dan's neighbor. He probably high-fived in the morning walking his dog, heading out to the SIBO back in the day. The Pope would bless you, my son. May you prosper in the pits of the devil today. Good stuff. Who was that? Windy City. A lot of great listener feedback today, Dan. Oh yeah, congrats to our winner of the Pro Trading Creative. What was that name? Eric Nelson. If you want to join Eric, only one place to do it, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. You too can win fabulous prizes. If you're saying to yourself, I need a little bit more good stuff in my day today, well, don't worry if you're hanging out in the Pro already. Just chill. We'll be back in a few minutes with our good buddy, Mr. Rich Excel, talking all things futures on the Futures Rundown. So if you like that breakdown I just did of some of the top performing assets of the year, we got a whole bunch more of that in store for you on the Futures Rundown coming up in a little bit. And since Rich has joined us, he might probably try to squeeze on a little bit of FX if I know him as well. So that should be interesting. He's always got some fun stuff going on. Then back again tomorrow with our usual doubleheader of the option block, as well as This Week in Futures Options. Friday, vol views, and then back for the pro folks, talking all things options oddities. Then we're back again next week. Another great episode of Options Bootcamp. Stay safe out there, everybody.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.